With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Live from iRacing's virtual Wild West Motorsports Park, we welcome you to the finale round of the Cross Series League Racing season live on Apex Racing TV. We're happy that all of you are joining us for the championship round of this campaign. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Tyler Newitt with Marco Barbonera down in the virtual production trailer. And Tyler, we have gone through 4 distinct sections of the calendar, 4 races in each, and we have finally reached the final race of the season. We began with GT3 cars, then we went to the Dirt Sprint cars, then we went to the NASCAR Next Gens, and now the Pro 4 trucks. And 4 races in each of those segments. We're down to the final one here at Wild West Motorsports Park, and we pretty much have a champion and a second place already locked up, but a bit of a battle for third place when it comes to that points championship.
Indeed we do, Josh, and not exactly a battle that we're going to see play out on track today. As far as we are aware, Robert Schwenkler, who currently holds that third place position in the championship standings, is not going to be racing tonight, and indeed he is not in the session. So Bobby Ross, with a podium today, could claim that third place in the overall season standings. And for what's been a rather up and down season so far for Bobby Ross, that would be a nice way to finish it off. And looking at the timings as they stand right now, it is actually Bobby Ross on top of the field. So he knows what's up for grabs, and he is coming to take it today.
And I would be very, very nervous if I was Robert Schwenkler, if I'm watching the broadcast, or if I'm anybody else that is racing here, because right now, with Bobby Ross being fastest, guess who he is also beating? He is beating Josh Clogg, who sits in second place right now. Clogg being one of the more pro-level dirt road drivers, not necessarily on the short course side of things, but was just a couple of points shy of qualifying for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to dirt road. Right now, Bobby Ross has him beat out by just about 1/100th of a second as we ride on board with James Keir up and over the jump right after the start finish line. A harsh uphill right up to turn number 1, and then the biggest decline I believe in all of iRacing, going basically straight down and into the bowl here at Wild West. A lot of elevation changes these drivers will be going through, not just in the jumps and in the whoops that we have on this course, but the fact that turn number 1 basically up on a hill, and you go downhill right after turn number 1 and then go right back up the hill through turns 2, 3, and down the straightaway Josh Clogg is going now, and through the final corner right back downhill to end the lap.
Yeah, it's a deceptively simple track map. If you caught it at the start of our broadcast, it looks like there's only 4 real turns on the track, and it's true there are. But to get to each of those turns required essentially driving several stories up or down in either direction, as we see Josh going downhill after turn 1 now, and a little bit further downhill, and then he'll turn back uphill and head back up again towards the next corner. So even though you may not be changing direction particularly often around Wild West, you will most certainly be changing elevation quite frequently.
And just like that, qualifying is up. And Bobby Ross, what a story for him, trying to go for a podium in the points standings. Needs a podium in the feature race tonight. If he wants to walk away with that third spot in the championship, he'll be starting on the pole here for heat number 1. Adam Thompson, who currently sits at the top of the point standings as well, will be starting to his outside of the front row. Tyler Coates, Ashley Molyneux, Jimmy Howitt rounding out the top 5. Tyler Brown, James Truitt, Alex Anderson, and Chet Duranick gonna round out the 9 drivers ready to take the green flag here for heat number 1. And Ross will be starting on that front row. Adam Thompson, 406 points leading up to tonight. Multiple podium finishes. He had a stretch of 8 podiums in a row this season, and he has a grand total of 10 podiums, 5 of those being race wins. And standing start here at Wild West, and we go racing. They'll go up and over the jump, and then right uphill to turn number 1. Adam Thompson already providing a little bit of a challenge to the outside of Bobby Ross. Get Ross protected on the inside. Here they go through the first corner, and yes, Bobby Ross will be able to hold on to that lead. Adam Thompson going to settle for P2. Ashley Molyneux able to gain a spot off the start. She's able to get around Tyler Coates just barely. Here comes Coates with another crossover to the inside. That's a beautiful move from the 407 to go back into P3. A little bit of contact with Molyneux, but they keep it clean. That's Coates grabbing away with third, and Adam Thompson around the outside. Gonna get away with the lead on Bobby Ross.
Not what Ross needs here, but man, what a sight, those trucks going over the jump towards turn number 1. Really, this track just provides some amazing vistas to watch these trucks working the dirt as Bobby Ross hunts back down Adam Thompson. It was within 1/10 of a second from Bobby Ross first in qualifying to Adam Thompson third. So don't be misled to think that Adam Thompson does not have his usual pace here tonight. He is right there. But Bobby Ross certainly will be keen to not let him slip away down the road here in heat number 1.
Back into turn number 2 for the group as James Truitt goes to the inside. That's Tyler Brown in the 429 up on the outside. Staying side by side just for a moment. Truitt gonna try and cover off that spot. Gonna barely do it, but he leaves a bit of the door open to the inside for Brown. Contact, they door slam coming out of turn 3. And Truitt able to get on the gas first and is going to pull away from that spot. So Truitt going to be able to gap P6. There's Tyler Coates as he currently sits in front of the almost side-by-side battle between Molyneux and Howitt. You're on board with Howitt now. The Carson City, Nevada driver going to take a peek to the inside on Molyneux. Getting that handbrake, trying to make that move down on the inside of turn number 1. Can't do it, and Howitt's going to stay P5.
And you see on board with Jimmy Howitt here how much timing goes into how you take these jumps around this track. It's not a simple matter of just keeping your foot to the floor and carrying as much speed over every single one of the jumps as you can. There's a lot of rhythm to it. You know, anyone who's ever ridden motocross or supercross or anything like that will understand what these drivers are having to do to time how they take each of these jumps around here, especially in these Pro 4 trucks. You know, the Pro 2 light trucks are probably slow enough that they're not really going to be doing anything other than full throttle all the way around. But these Pro 4 trucks, you really have to time those jumps to carry the most speed, to hit them just right and carry the momentum forward. Right now, Adam Thompson, Bobby Ross doing that better than anybody, but this battle continues on between Molyneux and Coates. Really good fight here. Molyneux's got the inside through turn number 2, but Coates is going to have it back here. Molyneux tries the crossover. Don't think she's going to be there this time, but clearly has the pace to continue pressuring Tyler Coates here.
I love that analysis you gave right there, Tyler, of comparing it to Supercross and timing the jumps, because we see that all the time in motocross and Supercross, especially with the double jumps and the triples. Do you want to take it a full triple? Do you want a double single? If you have a length of doubles, do you want to double, 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 or maybe triple one of them and then double single at the end leading into the turn? Very much the same thing here on the Pro 4 trucks and Pro 2 trucks, but a little bit lesser. You're not really saying, okay, do I want to completely clear these jumps? It's more of, okay, how am I going to take this jump to get the best landing that I possibly can and either keep speed up or be prepared for the next corner. So these drivers really are thinking throughout the lap how they want to take these jumps. And here comes that side-by-side battle back in. Coates with the challenge and is able to get right back by Molyneux. Molyneux is able to get the inside line going into turn number 2. And then in turn number 3, Tyler Coates able to challenge back. Here's another dive to the inside for Molyneux going into the final corner, turn 4. Coates not going to have a challenge here as they go back to the front straight away. Ashley Molyneux peeking up into the top 3. We have 5 laps to go.
And it was some fantastic camera work there, as usual, from producer Marco, looking back at Ashley Molyneux from Tyler Coates. Oh, there's a little rubbing there. But you're absolutely right, Josh. It's less about, you know, am I doubling or tripling this jump set? It's more about, I need to have my truck squared up to turn into turn 1 or turn 2. And how do I land the jump such that I can get, you know, maximum traction into the corner? And right now, Ashley Molyneux's got it figured out as she slides into 3rd place. Tyler Coates sends the challenge there in turn number 3, but it's not going to happen yet. And it looks as though Molyneux might have the pace here to just pull away a little bit from Tyler Coates. As we go a little further back, Tyler Brown battling once again with James Truitt. Another one of those battles that has lasted the entire race. And they continue on their back and forth with Tyler Brown now ahead of Truitt.
So Tyler Brown able to hold on to P6, and now as Tyler Coates gets by Ashley Molyneux once again, this almost moves everybody back to where they originally started here in heat number 1. Huge dive to the inside for Molyneux, but look at the corner from Tyler Coates. A perfect corner. He pointed that truck to the inside and was able to get on by Ashley Molyneux. Great move for Coates. Now Molyneux is going to be sitting in P4, and this battle between Coates and Molyneux has led to Jimmy Howitt being able to catch up just a little bit. Now Howitt starting to peek his way into this battle from P5. Molyneux all over the back bumper of the 407, trying to work her way around. She slams into the wall off turn 4, and that's going to really open the door for Jimmy Howitt now all over the back bumper of Molyneux. How's this battle going to work for P4 as we have 3 to go in heat number 1?
Yeah, I'm sure Jimmy Howitt's been liking what he's seeing here. The battle between Molyneux and Coates has really slowed them up significantly, and you can understand why, seeing one or the other taking a suboptimal line pretty much every time into the corner to either attack or defend. Meanwhile, Jimmy Howitt can just run his racing line and pull right onto the back of Molyneux. But of course, putting in quick laps is one thing and actually executing a pass is another. And we've seen Molyneux and Coates able to pass, but we haven't really seen Howitt able to move forward yet. So will Jimmy be able to put something together here in the final 3 laps in heat 1? Or is he just learning for the feature rate to try and figure out how he can move his way forward in the feature?
So Jimmy Howitt now working from P2, or from P5, second in this battle as Ashley Molyneux sits up front in P4. Oh, a hard landing for Tyler Brown as he slams into the ground, trying to battle with James Truitt. He goes way wide at turn number 1 as well, but Adam Thompson commanding this heat race. It'll be white flag this time by for Adam Thompson in the 244. Just an absolutely fantastic initial heat race for Adam Thompson here.
Yeah, he got the lead early and hasn't really let up. You would have figured Bobby Ross might have had something for him. Whoa, that's what we're talking about, timing your jumps. Alex Anderson did not, and landed square on the bumper end over end. That is not how you want to finish the race here, as he's going to have to reset back to the pits. But yeah, I'm a little surprised, to be completely honest, that Thompson, I shouldn't be, given the season that Adam Thompson has put together, but he's really just been able to keep eking out a lead over Bobby Ross, as Molyneux seems to have been able to do to Jimmy Howitt now that she's got some clean air behind Tyler Coates.
So Adam Thompson coming down the back straightaway into turn number 4. And he's going to get the best of the rest as we work our way out of heat number 1. It's Adam Thompson, the champion of this season, who's going to walk away the early victor here in the first heat of the night. Bobby Ross, Tyler Coates, and Ashley Molyneux round up the top 4, and Jimmy Howitt is going to round out the top 5 here in heat number 1. great way to start the evening here from Virtual Wild West.
Yeah, for a race that mostly shook out how it started, it was pretty eventful with some really exciting battles throughout the field. Truett was able to get the one up on Brown, and obviously Thompson on Bobby Ross. So looking forward to what we're going to see in the feature race with more trucks on the track, much less heat number 2. If heat number 1 is any indication, some really excellent battles the whole way through there. We've got our starting grid now up for heat number 2. Josh Klog will start from the pole position. Trevor Anderson behind him. Then it is Mike Sorum, Jake Ham, Kevin Irwin, Jaden Darling, James Kieran, Scott Benavides rounding out the grid for heat number 2. They're already away as they file over the first of the jumps, the first of many in this heat number 2. It is Klog clear of well, it was Anderson. Now it's Mike Sorum in second. We've already got Kevin Irwin up on his side. So early trouble for Irwin. He's trying to get it righted, and he does. The classic Monster Jam move there. Works in the Pro 4 trucks as well.
It does, Tyler, and absolutely, as we are waiting for Joshua to come back, you know, that's a classic. We've been used to seeing that over the past few rounds. Hello everyone, by the way. Yeah, just filling in the gap until Joshua comes back, as this second hit seems to be a bit more, dare I say, aggressive than the first one.
Yeah, we're seeing some early fender rubbing here. Scott Benavides now works his way past James Keir. With a strong move there. I don't think anyone is unhappy to hear Marco's voice over the radio as Keir gives the hip check to Scott Benavides. Man, they are really going. You hit the nail on the head there, Marco. They are rough and ready here in heat number 2 as Keir still trying to hold off Scott Benavides. Looks like, though, Benavides is through now. And they continue battling. Oh, and Keir up on his side. He continues on, but Benavides really turned in there. Further up ahead, Trevor Anderson under pressure from Mike Sorum. Sorum just laying on the pressure. Actually, I think that's Anderson getting back through because I believe Sorum had the early jump after Anderson went wide in turn 1. Anderson, of course, having locked up second place in the championship standing. Not fighting for anything other than the race win today, but he's going to have to reel in Josh Klog here in heat number 2 if he wants to put himself on the right foot to start the feature.
The traditional Cheshire Cat livery that we all now love, as on two wheels is Trevor Anderson. A bit of a mistake there, and the Cheshire Cat smiles as he goes up into second place. Oh, but he tried to one-up his rival there, almost flipping over himself. Josh Klog has pulled away. Second and third are having fun, and Jake Ham, you know, solidly and almost safely into fourth place.
Yeah, in his own little world, between the extremely aggressive battles between Benavides and Keir and Irwin that we saw behind him with Sorum and Anderson ahead, Jake Ham can kind of rest easy for a little bit, if ever that was possible. And as soon as we say it, curse of the commentator, Jake Ham is into the wall and into traffic in behind Scott Benavides there. So really screwed him over there, didn't we, Marco?
Oh man, terrible. I apologize profusely. So he hit the wall there, and then he hit the wall a second time. And now he's still in fifth, but under big pressure. And again, he's been this time sent into the wall and all the way down to the last of the cars on the lead lap.
So much for being in his own little world. Jake Ham has met the other trucks on track, and it's not ended well for Jake. As lots of moving and shaking going on in the order in this one. Much different from heat number 1. Scott Benavides up 4 spots. Started at the back of the grid, currently sits fourth as Keir with the big send into turn number 1, but it's going to cost him a spot there to, I believe that was Kevin Irwin. Remember, Kevin, of course, was on his side in turn number 1, now fighting for fourth place with Scott Benavides and James Keir and Jake Ham, everybody involved in this one. They are really going at it, and I don't know that anyone has a clear advantage at this stage of the race here.
I mean, this is absolutely amazing, this fight for the last transfer spot. I mean, Benavides, Kier, here we go, Irwin on the inside of Kier, and a bit of contact again, as they are now 2 by 2. Benavides with a good run coming out of the final corner, but now he's trading pace with Kier. And behind them, Irwin and Ham still side by side as well. Hard landing for everyone. Another collision, and for the 3rd time. Oh, and this time he goes into the shadow realm. Into the shadow realm, unfortunately.
Unfortunate for Jake Ham, but he is not going to finish this one any higher than 7th. Jaden Darling went out a little earlier on in the race. But the battle continues between these three. Currently, James Kier holds it and has stretched a little bit, as much of a gap really as we've seen from any of these drivers, over Kevin Irwin as it stands at the moment. Scott Benavides, who at one point was up into 4th, now sits in 6th, but I think it's anything but over for 4th. Further up ahead, Sorum has checked out just a little bit on Anderson, looking at about a 2nd gap there. But Josh Klog is well clear in 1st place. I would say, as we probably expect, we know Klog is handy on the dirt. Oh my goodness, that was a send from Kevin Irwin. I'm struggling to find some high words there, but that was he was straight for the and now Benavides. They are well, they're not playing nice, are they, Marco?
Absolutely not. We are maybe trying to. No, we are trying. We may have in just a few seconds at the end of this 2nd heat the voice of Joshua Lee back with us, as I use this momentary pause in action to thank Nexus Fab, which specializes in metal fabrication and manufacturing for commercial, residential and costume projects, as well as signage, furniture and metal repair work. Visit them at nexusfab.com.
We might be hearing from Josh soon. I also think we might be hearing from Race Control fairly soon. They do have live race control for XSLR. Friend of Apex, Scott Rankin, I think, doing the race controlling. So we might see a message coming through from Scott. Tough to tell in these trucks sometimes, as James Kier is upside down once again. Not the first time in this race, but yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with all that's going on to see race control intervention. Here we see, this was earlier on. We saw this happen live. That was after Irwin had gotten into Kier. This is what happened most recently to send Kier on his roof. I get the feeling it's going to be all by himself here. Yep, off of the inside barrier and up onto his lid. He turtles it and is sent back to the pit lane. But this is the battle for 2nd, and it really hasn't changed all that much. It's still just under a 2nd between Mike Sorum and Trevor Anderson, but this is where the scrapping currently is. That's the lapped truck of Ham ahead of Scott Benavides and Kevin Irwin, who are still going at it on the final lap here. Now, I don't believe they are on the final lap. I believe they will cross the line and have one more. I think Josh Klog took the final lap a little bit earlier on. So this isn't the finish here. So Scott Benavides still has the chance to overtake Kevin Irwin for that 4th position. And we'll see if he does. He sent it pretty deep into turn 1, but first we'll watch Josh Klog come around the final corner. Up over the jump here, weaving a little bit from side to side. But we go back, now it's Benavides up on his roof. He gets the hip check from Irwin, up and over, and Irwin flips himself.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
I think these guys think there is a bonus point structure for the amount of times you flip off onto your lid, because they've each done it at least once, some more than once. And it looks as though Scott Benavides is going to grab that 4th spot. You wouldn't be able to tell it by looking at that truck, because it's pretty beat up. But he comes across the line ahead of Kevin Irwin. Jake Ham, the only other finisher, as Kier and Darling finish the race in the pit.
And now a guy that has I mean, Joshua, you haven't missed anything, you know, very important in these last 10 minutes. Boring second
definitely does not seem like it, but I definitely heard a lot of drama over drivers flipping up and over onto their lids in these Pro 4 trucks. They can do that. That is a thing they can do, and they can continue to run after they are on their lid as well. One of the great things about off-road trucks, both in real life and in the iRacing service, as long as it's still running, it can still be ran on the racetrack. Time for the Consolation race. Top 7 will go into the feature, so we're going to cut 2 off the tail end of this Consolation. So that's Jimmy Howitt starting on the pole, Kevin Irwin, James Truitt, Jake Ham, and Tyler Brown, the top 5, with James Kier, Chet Duranick, Jaden Darling, and Alex Anderson rounding out the 9 drivers who are ready to go racing here in the Consolation. And after my computer decided that now was the best time to do Windows updates, finally back, ready to go for the Consolation. 15 laps and we are ready to go racing, and they hit the throttle. We are underway. It's a bad start for James Kier, and the 429 also of Tyler Brown getting a bad start. They're going to get eaten alive about 3 wide coming up into turn number 1, and they will go 3 wide just for a moment for the lead, as giving a tap to Jimmy Howitt was James Truitt in the 5. Now here comes the 7 of Kevin Irwin to try and battle for the race lead as they go into turn 2.
And 2 trucks not going to make the feature race from this Consolation. So at the moment, it's Duranick and Brown in danger. But just have to say, what a professional for Josh, slipping in there, doing the Windows updates, and immediately calling the grid for the Consolation race. That is mighty impressive. But his computer a little less so. But we continue on board with Jake Ham as they head round the final corner. He's in behind Kier, who had an eventful, it has to be said, heat number 2. But continuing on and looking at the moment in position to transfer to the feature rather, unlike Tyler Brown, who is a ways off the field now.
Oh, side-by-side battle here between Jake Ham in the 85, James Kier in the 88. Kier's gonna have the inside advantage. They go into turn 2 here. Into turn number 2 they go. They both swing it through, and James Kier going to be able to hold on to that spot. Here comes the 67 of Alex Anderson. Also going to peek in, but the 85 of Jake Ham with a cut back to the inside. And a perfect move made, but here's the crossover move from James Kier. Gotta watch for those crossovers. That is the #1 defense that you have. If you get past in these off-road trucks, you gotta get that crossover made. A perfect one from James Kier. He goes back into P4, that Vipers Esports machine. And we go on board with Alex Anderson, trying to catch up to the 88 and 85 in front of him as he sits P6. Gets very loose coming over that initial jump.
I think he got a hit there. It's Jaden Darling who's behind him on track, but that truck pitched more than I would have expected, even with a rough landing. I could be wrong, but certainly looked like he had a helping hand to kick that truck out, but he continues on in the second to last transfer position. It's Duranick and Brown, both fairly far off the field, who at the moment would fail to make the race. With the beating and banging that we saw in heat number 2, it would not surprise me at all to see a truck upended out of the track and out of the feature race. So we certainly won't know until it's all said and done who's going to make it. But at the moment, Duranick and Brown looking in not great shape to make that transfer spot. Jimmy Howitt, though, is in great shape to continue to dominate this Consolation race, I should say. Pulled out almost 2 seconds now over Kevin Irwin, and really not altogether surprising. We saw Jimmy Howitt fighting with the front runners in heat number 1. Clearly had some decent pace here today.
Side-by-side moment. Kier goes around the outside of Alex Anderson. And they keep it clean. Both of them will continue on, but man, that was very close to contact as they worked their way through turn number 2 and around the outside for James Kier as well, trying to make that move work. But Alex Anderson continues to fight from P6, very loose coming up and over those triple whoop section there as Jimmy Howitt continues to lead the way. Relatively longer Consolation race than Heat 1 and 2. Of course, the heats were both equal distance in 10 laps. Consolation race here is 15. And tonight's feature race is going to be a grand total of 20 laps on the chart. So we will see the drivers go racing for exactly double the amount of time in the feature as well as both of the heat races. So expecting a lot more drawn out battles there. And here's another battle going on between Truett and Ham, as Jake Ham has done an amazing job to catch his way back up to the 5 of James Truett and trying to work his way around now. Checking my stats, I don't believe Jake Ham has made a good bit of starts this season. No, his first start was at Wild Horse Pass, so second start of the season. Clearly has some speed on these off-road trucks, Tyler, with him currently battling, trying to get P3 away from James Truett, but he goes onto his lid. There's the commentator's curse.
And just as we cursed him in heat number 2, poor Jake Ham is going to be wishing that we didn't know he existed, because he has had the double whammy of commentator curse. Of course, the second of these self-induced flip or issues, I should say, at turn number 1, as it was in heat number 2. But Jake Ham suddenly is on the outside looking in, and Chet Duranic says thank you very much and moves up into 7th place.
Man, I feel so bad. I'm gonna have to send a Christmas card to Jake this year, I think, because oh man, now right as I'm talking so great about him, second start, running well in the off-road trucks, trying to get into the feature, and oh, he ends up flipping onto his lid. I am very sorry, Jake, and anybody that knows Jake Ham, if you're watching, Alex Anderson goes up and over, and we were talking about it after heat number 2. These off-road trucks, they can go over onto their lid as long as they land on all 4 wheels and they're not turtled on their roof. They can keep going. Let's see what happened here to Alex Anderson. Pokes the nose a little bit too far to the inside, flip up and over, and right back on the wheels, can continue on.
Yeah, you'd definitely rather do that, wouldn't you? And what unfortunately happened to Ham, you just want to make sure that you have the momentum to keep rolling if you do end up flipping it over. So good fortune, I suppose, for Alex Anderson as he manages to keep it moving in the right direction, albeit down in 4th place. But that's better than being in 9th place, which will not get you to the feature. Something's happened to Kier. He has been reset to the pit lane and is suddenly out of the 7 transfer positions. What's happened here?
Got loose coming off of these triple whoops here. We'll take a look right here, right off of this jump. Landing there, the rebound just got him, and hard contact into the wall, and ends up turtled on his lid, unable to get flipped back over. So that does warrant a tow to the pit lane. And Chet Duranic also involved in an incident. A ton of damage to that Pro 4. Let's see what happens to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, number 42. And he, oh my, sky wheelied it coming off of that final jump and into the wall. And he already had the damage, so the damage was not from that, but man, a perfect sky wheelie there. If he was in a monster truck, it would have been a little bit more impressive, but these Pro 4 trucks definitely not made for doing sky wheelies. They're more made for racing on the racetrack.
Well, we saw that happen with, I believe it was Alex Anderson in heat number 2, and Duranic fortunate there to not tumble end over end as Anderson did, managed to keep it on the wheel. That's what he needs to do right now. Duranic hasn't really seemed to have the pace of some of the other drivers here this weekend, but is in a position to make the feature race where he sits right now. So Chet just needs to probably take it a little easier, avoid the sky wheelies at all costs, and just bring it home in one piece, or as many pieces as the truck is currently in.
So Jake Ham back on the racetrack, and I believe he is 1 lap down. Yes, he is. There is a chance that he is going to catch up to Chet Duranic. I believe they are both, they're almost on the same lap. Jimmy Howitt might be able to lap Chet Duranic, which would then put Jake Ham in contention for the final transfer spot. We're going to take 7 from this Consolation and push them forward into the feature. We'll have to see if anything is going to change with that 7th spot. But for right now, Chet Duranic basically has it on lock if the leader, Jimmy Howitt, doesn't put him 1 lap down. James Truitt currently runs in third. A great run for Truitt right now. And Alex Anderson goes up and over once again, right back on the wheels this time.
Keep it rolling, keep it rolling.
Yes, he does.
He does. Needs, I think, a moment to gather his breath and put it back in gear, but he's back moving forward. And good news for Chet Duranek. James Keir has disconnected from the session, so there's only one driver who could possibly move him, or anyone for that matter, out of the transfer position. That is Jake Ham. And Jake is doing his best to make that ground back up, but with just 4 laps to go, it's going to be a tall order for Jake to move himself back into the transfer spots on pace alone.
3 times up and over in that flip for the 67 of Alex Anderson. Luckily able to continue. They're currently in P5 on the racetrack. Chet Duranek has been put 1 lap down, which means himself and Jake Ham are now both on the same lap. So what this means is Jake Ham does have an opportunity to pass the 42 of Chet Duranek, get the 7th and final transfer spot, and try and be one of the drivers that is fighting for the win in the feature. We'll have to see if Ham is going to be able to do this. Of course,
yeah, so
looking, yeah, sorry, Charlie.
Sorry, Josh. I was just gonna say I've been looking at the lap times between the two of them and the actual gap between the two. I would be a little worried if I were Chet Duranek, because he is running laps round about 4 seconds a lap slower than Jake Ham. And well, there you see it. That last time it was 4 seconds, but it's been significantly more. And that gap between the two drivers, oh no! Up and over. Is he going to land on his wheels? No, he's going to land out of the stadium.
No.
And that is Jake Ham's. He can back it down a little now. I was going to say before all that Jake would have been there in really just another lap or two if Chet didn't start pushing. And clearly Chet started pushing and pushed a little harder than his truck could take in its battered state. So unfortunate for Chet Duranek, but have to say, I think it was always trending in that direction with the pace that Jake Ham has shown.
So I'm sending a Christmas card to Jake Ham to apologize for the commentator's curse. I think Jake Ham's going to have to send a Christmas card to Chet Duranek saying thank you for making that mistake, because now he is in prime position to work his way into the feature. James Truitt still runs in P3. Jaden Darling still runs in P4. There's your current leader, Jimmy Howitt. 2 to go here from Virtual Wild West in the Consolation. We still have 20 laps of a feature race to go tonight. We are definitely not done with the racing as we go on board with Kevin Irwin, who sits in P2 currently on the racetrack.
And you wonder what sort of racing we're going to see in the feature, because we have gotten 3 very different races, with race 1 being really clean, tight, back and forth battle. We saw Heat 2 was the rough and tumble. See how many flips you can get in and still make it across the finish line. And I think the name of the game in the Consolation race has been survival. Obviously, we've seen that truck Alex Anderson up on his lid. We've seen some issues for a few other drivers, but I think just about everyone here has just been trying to make to the finish and into the transfer spot. There's poor Chet Duranek, not going to be one of those drivers now 2 laps down with just a lap to go. But I think we're in for some exciting action in the feature race regardless, but I'm very curious to see what sort of form it takes and how much of the aggression level that we saw earlier on today we're going to see come back out for the feature.
Checkered flag going to wave as Jimmy Howitt works his way through turn number 4. And a fantastic Consolation leading since the start for the 37 and Jimmy Howitt. And the Carson City, Nevada driver is going to move on to the feature race tonight. Kevin Irwin, James Truitt, pretty stuck into 2nd and 3rd. Here's the battle for 4th as Alex Anderson currently has the spot. And here comes Jaden Darling. We saw the move trying to be made in turn number 1. Can he make it in turn 4? Anderson's loose off the final jump again, but he's not going to go up and over for the 3rd time tonight. Alex Anderson is going to qualify for the feature in P4. Jaden Darling going to end up P5. Tyler Brown and Jake Ham are going to round out the 7 drivers who are finishing up the Consolation, and they will advance into the feature race. Normally we'd have a warm-up off of the Consolation, but it looks like we're going to be heading directly into tonight's 20-lap main event, the feature race. 15 drivers ready to go racing. It's Adam Thompson on the pole, Josh Clogg, Bobby Ross, Mike Sorum, Tyler Coates, the top 5, Trevor Anderson, Ashley Molyneux, Scott Benavidez, Jimmy Howitt, Kevin Irwin, James Truitt, Alex Anderson, the top 12, Jaden Darling, Tyler Brown, and Jake Ham. The 15 drivers ready to go for the final time this season. Tyler, we're about to send him into turn number 1, and it's a harsh uphill right off the jump up into turn number 1 here at Wild West. What are your expectations here for the feature?
I don't know. I feel like we just covered that it's been 3 completely different races up until this point. I think you'd have to expect drivers to be on max aggression for the feature race. We're going to see some really fierce battling. We've seen some really close battles through both of the heat races, and I wouldn't expect anything different in this one. Very curious to see who comes out on top overall. We know Thompson is quick, we know Clogg is quick, and we know Bobby Ross grabbed the qualifying pole. So I think this is going to be a really close battle that we get to watch all the way through as the lights are out. They're over the jump, and Clogg slots in behind Thompson for now. We'll see how they go into turn 1.
Through 1, take a look at the stack up behind. 4 wide for a moment. They all bump into each other, but it looks like everybody's going to survive turn number 1. Adam Thompson gets away with the lead. They're still bouncing off of each other further back. Josh Cloggen, second. He gets a tap from Mike Sorum. Sorum moves his way into second. Look at Molyneux. Look at Coates. Bobby Ross going to fall from 3rd. Now to P5. Trying to fight with Molyneux. Molyneux on the outside. Bobby Ross on the inside. Look at Jimmy Howard trying to make it 3 wide up the middle. It is chaos towards the back as everybody fights for positions. You're on board with Tyler Coates. So he has a front row seat. Now as Jimmy Howard goes to the inside, there's Ross and Molyneux side by side there. Ross is going to be able to clear her. Now Ross goes into P4, 1 position short of where he needs to finish to walk away with a podium spot in the championship.
That could have easily been very bad, very costly for Bobby Ross. If he had dropped back into the chasing horde, they've been beating and banging all over each other for that entire first lap. He needs to get a move on and get back ahead of Mike Sorum so he can claim 3rd in the championship. But at the moment, he's under pressure still from Molyneux as we see Coates get sideways. We see Truitt up and over the barrier, but everybody's still going, still on their 4 wheels and not the roof at the moment. So good to see at least that all the trucks continue on, unlike some of the earlier races today.
What a start to this feature. They're still beating and banging towards the back. There's Alex Anderson getting very loose up over that jump. Contact made between, looks like Darling and Benavidez. Darling's going to get very loose off turn 4, able to save it. Going to lose a spot out to Kevin Irwin in the process as well. Here's Trevor Anderson. He fights currently from P7. Coates in front, Howitt behind, as they'll race their way into turn number 2. Anderson trying to hold on as arcing the corner up in front is Tyler Coates. You're on board with Howitt now. Consolation race winner. Trying to catch up to Trevor Anderson in front of him as everybody up front single files out. And Adam Thompson putting the work in, trying to go back to back in the win column for the 2nd time this season and walk away with yet another podium finish and yet another win just to put the icing on the cake of the championship here at Wild West.
And he definitely got helped out early on by the hit Clogg took from Mike Sorum. We saw it happen live. I think it just slowed Clogg's momentum enough to give Thompson the breathing room he needed to kind of focus on hitting his marks and putting in quick laps. We know Clogg is quick. We don't know if he has any damage from that contact. It's more trouble for Scott Benavidez. It's been a kind of the opposite story of the heat race. He was the big mover going forward in that. He's been the big mover going backwards. Unfortunately, in the feature, he sits last of the 15 drivers. But this is the battle for 3rd place in the championship, or rather, for Bobby Ross to claim 3rd place. Mike Sorum not in contention for that championship position, but obviously wants to grab a podium before the year finishes, and doing his best to hold off Bobby Ross here, who is on the charge.
Poured with Bobby Ross, who is fighting Mike Sorum, not just for 3rd on the racetrack, but he will also be fighting Mike Sorum for third in the championship. We previewed it as we went into tonight's show. Robert Schwenkler, who's currently in third for the point standings, could not show tonight. So all Bobby Ross needs to do is podium, which is third, second, or first, and he will get the third spot in the championship on top of that. So that is all Bobby Ross is looking to do, but he has Mike Sorum in front of him, and you can see how hard he's trying to work. Bobby Ross this season, we mentioned earlier, a bit of an up and down season. 2 podiums for him, 2 consistent finishes in these off-road trucks. Neither of them, unfortunately, are podiums. So he is really trying to do what some would describe as the impossible. He qualified on the pole. We know he's got the speed on a single car, in a qualifying run, I should say, Tyler. He needs to prove it in race trim.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a bit of a struggle to get off the line, I think, for Bobby Ross. Really, that's kind of what we saw. Lost the position early in his heat race to Adam Thompson, lost the position early here to Mike Sorum. He just hasn't really had that early run competitive pace that he needs to claim that podium position that is so valuable to him today. He is all over the back of Mike Sorum, but seemingly not willing at this stage of the race maybe to kind of put in that aggression level to make a big lunge and try and complete the pass. It seems as though he's got the pace advantage, but you don't want to put yourself at risk at this point. You know, with 14 laps to go in the race, it's just too early to be making any big sense.
So Adam Thompson continues to lead the way by a considerable margin over Josh Klong, and even more considerable margin over Sorum and Ross, the battle that we are currently taking a look at, as Mike Sorum sits in P3, Bobby Ross sits P4. Ross fighting for a top 3 in the championship off of this as well. Sorum, it's a little bit loose coming over those jumps, and now it's going to give an opportunity to Bobby Ross to close in a little further. Needs to be smart about this pass. If he just slams into him, that's not going to do him any good. Could lead to a penalty. Could also lead to both of them getting wrecked out of this race. Side by side, coming over the jump. This is the battle for 7th as Jimmy Howitt on the outside of Tyler Coates. Arcs it to the inside, up on 2 wheels. A bicycle for Tyler Coates as he slams into the inside wall. Coates is going to be able to hold on at P8, and Jimmy Howitt able to hold on at P7. And a little bit of a tap is going a little wide, trying to arc that corner a little late is Coates. Howitt going to be able to comfortably hold on at P7. Here's the peak to the inside, not able to do anything about it.
Yeah, really impressed by, as we see Bobby Ross lunging to the inside of Mike Sorum. I think he's going to have that position. And I was just about to say, I'm really impressed by the competency of these drivers to take advantage of the passing opportunities that this track offers. As we see this battle continuing on, and Sorum really sent it in there pretty deep, and Bobby Ross will try and get the run, but we've talked about crossovers multiple times today, and these drivers clearly know what they're doing, trying to execute these passes. As we see Ross trying the crossover again on Sorum, it's not going to work. But, you know, it's a great track for these excellent back and forth battles that we've seen with just the switchback corners. And these drivers are making the most of it, absolutely putting on a show for us so far.
Putting on a show is right, and here comes Bobby Ross, the West Palm Beach, Florida driver, to the inside, and he's gonna walk away with P3. Mike Sorum goes wide in the final corner, and now Bobby Ross's objective goes from offense to defense. So he's gonna now have to hold off Mike Sorum, and he goes wide now in 1. Sorum arcs the corner well. He's gonna get that spot. Ross on 2 wheels as he hits the inside wall. Here comes Molyneux, here comes Anderson, making a 4-horse fight for this spot. Sorum goes wide again, arcs the corner well, and Bobby Ross immediately saw a top 3 in the championship. He went to defense, now gonna have to go right back to offense, and a little bit of defense as well. Here comes Molyneux and Anderson to join the fight. 4 drivers battling for the final spot on the podium.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. Bobby can keep sending it on the inside here, but as long as Sorum is able to arc the outside of that corner, he's gonna get the run down the straight that Bobby Ross just can't from the inside line. He's gonna have the speed and momentum into turn number 1, but now Bobby Ross has the inside. It's up to Sorum to try the crossover move here, and it doesn't work. So those multiple lines through the corners, the switchbacks, the cutbacks, the over-unders, however you want to call it, it really makes for some fantastic back and forth here. And Bobby Ross and Mike Sorum are both doing an excellent job, as poor Ashley Molyneux, I think, is stuck on the barrier. She's gonna have to, she's trying to get it loose, but I think she's been forced back to the pit lane. So that takes her out of the battle for third. But at the moment, Bobby Ross has it and finally is able to take the final corner at full speed, not trying to make the move on Mike Sorum. He will do his best now to open up that gap and prevent Sorum from having a run back on him.
So Ross is into third, and so unfortunate for Ashley Molyneux, one of the drivers who has had amazing finishes this season and went away with a couple of podiums through the dirt sprint cars. Got a win at Knoxville in the 410 dirt sprint cars. Great to see from Ashley Molyneux this season. Back to the battle for third. 9 to go. We're over halfway done here in this feature. And once again, just a reminder, Bobby Ross, where he currently sits in third, would also be walking away with the third spot in the championship. This is all Bobby Ross is fighting for here. He needs a podium to walk away with third place in the championship. Exactly what he is trying to do here. Adam Thompson leads the way. Josh Clogg still sits relatively close behind, but 1.3 seconds might as well be 10 seconds on a track like this in these off-road trucks. Tyler, you need to be so close to another truck to really make a pass work. So Clogg's going to be trying to reel him in, but you can see the groove starting to develop, starting to get a little loose in that groove as the moisture starts to work out at this racetrack.
Yeah, the gap did just close up, though, as Thompson was working around the lap truck of Scott Benavides. Wasn't able to get full speed out of turn number 1. That allowed Josh to close that gap up. I think it had been about 2 seconds. It's now just under 1 second, so it was certainly a big help to Josh Clogg, who really sends it in deep there. Adam Thompson surely will be starting to feel the pressure now, even though, as you said, Josh Clogg is a bit too far back to really have a think about making a pass attempt. As we see, I think Alex Anderson stuck on the barriers now. Too far back to make a pass attempt, but close enough. Adam Thompson can ill afford to make a mistake here, because Josh Clogg will be right there to snatch that lead away.
Trying to snatch that lead away, it should be said. Clogg is close, not close enough, as Thompson still leads the way. Thompson this season looking for win number 6. 1 in the dirt sprint car portion of the calendar, 3 in the asphalt oval portion of the calendar, and 1 in the off-road trucks portion of the calendar, the dirt road portion of the calendar last week at Wild Horse Pass. There's the send to the inside from Clogg. The contact made between the two leaders. It wasn't enough to move Thompson out of the groove, but Clogg letting him know that he is there. Remember, Josh Clogg swept the opening 2 rounds of this off-road truck portion of the calendar. He won at Bark River and 1 at Crandon, trying to make it 3 out of 4 here at Wild West. Adam Thompson trying to make it 2 for 2 in the last 2 rounds of the championship, as he's locked up the championship, looking for an icing on the cake with 5 to go.
But it's a big bump from Clogg into turn number 1 and a secondary hit. They were both late on the brakes into turn 1, but Thompson does well to hang on for now, but you just get the feeling that this move from Clogg is inevitable. If he doesn't do that, almost goes up on his lip, catching the inside of the barrier. Thompson's done well to pinch that inside, because that's really where the pass is going to happen, and Clogg hasn't been able to have to find that racing room to make the pass work. It's looking like Adam Thompson is in good shape here if he can just keep hitting his marks, but clearly Josh Clogg has the pace to win this race, and he wants to.
On board with Clogg, 4 laps to go. He closed in a little bit further to Adam Thompson. Now that gap's grown a little bit more. You can see that inside line starting to groove in on pretty much all of these corners, and that groove is asphalt getting laid into, or excuse me, rubber getting laid into the track. It acts a little bit more like asphalt, very, very loose for these trucks. Where that dirt is moist, it has grip, and as the rubber works its way in, that moisture gets sucked right out. It is very dry, and unfortunately does not lead to good grip for these tires. So the drivers need to either find more moisture in the racetrack or have to deal with it as they run through their lines. Most of the drivers are going to start to deal with it, start to change the way they get back onto the throttle. With the Pro 4 trucks, you can do that a little bit better with them being four-wheel drive rather than the Pro 2 trucks, which are two-wheel drive, and one driver getting up and out of the way for the leaders. I believe that was Jaden Darling who did that. He moves up and out of the way as the two leaders continue to fight. It'll be 2 to go this time by. Clog tries to send it to the inside. Can't get there.
And every lap, Josh is clawing bits and pieces from Adam Thompson, but since he made that mistake, he needs to be clawing more like heaps and bounds. You know, it needs to be half a second every lap, and he's pulling back a tenth or two. It's just not going to be enough. He's going to have to really send on the brakes at some point in these last 2 laps. You have to imagine that Thompson's going to be ready for it, as he has been for each of Josh Clog's attacks so far. It's another tenth or 2 that lap to get to 8/10ths back, but it's not going to be enough this time, and time is quickly running out here for Josh Clog as we are at less than 2 laps to go.
Here comes Clog. Another move to the inside that has unfortunately failed for Clog. Remember what they're racing for up at the front, just the win here. Adam Thompson has locked up the championship. Nobody will beat his 406 points that currently sit at the top of the charts. Trevor Anderson has locked up second place. So his 290 points that he currently sits with will not be beat for second. Bobby Ross, if he holds on to third, is going to walk away with the third spot in the championship as the white flag is out. One final lap around Wild West. Adam Thompson looking for a final win in a championship season. He won at Cedar Lake. He won at the iRacing Super Speedway, at Indianapolis, at Daytona, at Wild Horse Pass. And he's trying to add
Clog is
Wild
around.
West
He hooked the
to
Clog
that
hooked the
line.
barrier.
Josh Clog gonna lose a ton of time to the 244 of Adam Thompson. Out of turn 3, trying to pull away. Clog's gonna have one more opportunity in turn 4. Trying to go for win number 6 of the season. He's already won the championship, but he finishes out on top as Adam Thompson wins from virtual Wild West. 6 wins on the season, and what a fantastic way to finish it out. And he also finishes with 11 total podiums this season.
I was a little worried for Adam Thompson there because he took an awfully cautious line through turn number 1. And the way Josh had been sending it into turn number 2, I thought for sure he was going to have a dive and give Thompson a little bit of the chrome horn. But instead, he kept it clean. He tried to keep it tight, but Thompson's been doing such a good job of pinching off that inside line. The Clog had nowhere to go but to hook the barrier, spin himself a little bit around as we see the rest of the drivers crossing the finish line. And Thompson really just drove a sterling defensive race. It just doesn't get better than that when you're playing defense like Adam Thompson was. He did a masterful job.
Unbelievable finish. And Bobby Ross, third place. That nets him third place in the point standings as well. What a way to finish the season for Bobby Ross as well. And he gets that podium spot in the championship by getting his third podium of the season. Great run for Bobby Ross. We'll be speaking to Adam Thompson, your champion. Josh Clog, second place tonight. And Bobby Ross, third place tonight and in the point standings in just a few moments in our post-race show. But for now, we take a look at our full race results as Adam Thompson walks away with the win. Josh Clog in second. Bobby Ross, Mike Sorum, Trevor Anderson, the top 5. with Jimmy Howitt, James Truitt, Jake Ham, Kevin Irwin, and Tyler Brown, the top 10. Alex Anderson, Tyler Coates, Scott Benavidez, Ashley Molyneux, and Jaden Darling round out the 15 drivers who took the green flag in the feature. Time to begin the post-race show, and who better to talk to first than your champion of Cross Series League Racing this season. It's Adam Thompson in the 244. Adam, congratulations on this win tonight and on the championship as a whole. What a season it has been. 6 total wins, 11 total podiums. What's the emotions right now?
I have none. I was just coming out here to run the race tonight, Joshua, and turned into a win. And for me, I hope for you guys too, what may have been the best race of the season so far.
It was definitely an exciting one to watch from up here in the commentary box. But talk about the season as a whole, because obviously you had the championship locked up coming into tonight. You've had it locked up for a couple of rounds now, but just finishing out this season with 6 total wins, 11 podiums. Could you ever have imagined that going into this season that you would walk away with such a dominant win in the championship?
To be honest, after the asphalt road, as you guys saw, I did not. I expected a lot more competition. I know Trevor Anderson told me that was his favorite, type of racing, but through the dirt oval and the asphalt oval portion, I don't know how I pulled on some of the guys like Alex Anderson and Ashley Molyneux. I mean, we've got fast people in every facet of the racing we run, and then to come back full circle basically and start running dirt road again and seeing how fast Trevor Anderson and Josh Clogg were, I didn't expect to win any of those either. So I'm like Ricky Bobby right now. I don't even know what to do with my hands, man. I don't know what I don't know how I did it, but it's been a blast for sure. This whole season has been great.
Well, going into season 3, next season, that will start in 2022. What are your expectations? Are you expecting to have another championship season, or do you think it's going to be an uphill battle for you to try and walk away with it?
Well, it's actually starting in 2021, December 5th, guys. Marco, hopefully you were able to throw that Discord invite in. We are recruiting, by the way, but with that being said, I do expect it to be more of an uphill battle. It's I won last season as well, but it wasn't really, we didn't have as many drivers in general, and we've got more drivers now, and it's getting tougher and tougher every season. I'm looking forward to it, Joshua. I really am. I cannot wait.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the Apex Racing TV commentary booth. Adam, before we let you go, who makes it all possible for you and the team at Cross Series League Racing and at the 244?
All right. Well, the team at Cross Series League Racing, guys, my admins, been stepping up every week. Rob, Jerry, Ashley, thank you so much. And then obviously all the drivers. Can't do this without any of the drivers either. And, the sponsors. And I want to give a special shout out to Vipers Esports. They have given us quite a good amount of money to run our season 3, which makes it possible to get broadcasted by you guys again. And finally, you guys, it's every week you guys put on a good show. It just blows my mind every time I watch the broadcast back. I cannot thank all of you guys enough. I really can't.
Well, thank you so much once again for joining us here in the commentary booth, Adam. And once again, congratulations on your win here at Wild West, your 6 wins on the season, and your championship.
Thanks, Joshua. Gonna go celebrate tonight.
And you definitely earned that celebration. That is Adam Thompson, your champion for Cross Series League Racing and your winner tonight from Wild West. We continue on with the interviews going down the podium. Second place finish tonight for Josh Clogg. He's with Tyler Newitt.
Well, Josh, it was just a little bit too little too late, wasn't it, with Adam Thompson there? He certainly left it tantalizingly close for you, but ultimately not able to pull off one final win in the dirt road portion.
Yeah, it was a super close battle. I ended up, chipping away at the time and getting close to him. And both times I got close to him, I touched the inside wall, getting a little bit antsy on where I thought a good passing opportunity was. So kind of shot myself in the foot with both of those, but it was still awesome race. Glad to see the amount of practice and improvement that everybody's done with this.
Certainly, yeah, you had some competition there by the end, which is exciting, and Adam really took it to you. We saw a couple of times, I think, you giving him just a little bit of the chrome horn. Was there a little bit of a nagging voice in the back of your mind? Were you thinking of just kind of sending it in there? You really seemed to get the run into turn 2 well, or was it just a matter of trying to get somewhere you could get alongside and force him out wide?
Yeah, definitely turn 2 was the spot I was looking at. I noticed that he ran wide there compared to me most laps, and that's definitely a good opportunity if the door's open. The corners, a couple other corners, yeah, I gave him a little tap, just a reminder to let him know I was there, kind of to try and keep him on edge, and hopefully that would open the door a little bit more on turn 2. But yeah, each time I ended up clipping the inside wall just a little bit and cost myself all my chances.
Well, it was certainly an exciting show for us, and I have to wonder, the qualifying effort where you, I think, matched Bobby Ross's time and ultimately had you starting second on the grid to Adam after he won his race. Do you think if you had started from that first position, you would have been able to run away with it, or was it always going to be a battle?
I do think it would have been a battle, but I think I would have had the upper hand if I would have started first. Yeah, it was 4,000s in qualifying, so next to nothing. But yeah, in the first corner, I got caught up with Mike a little bit, and it gave Adam that gap right off the bat. And from there, it was kind of hard to reel him in. And then, once I did, it was a little bit too late. So, yeah, I think it would have been, it still would have been a good race, but might have had the upper hand if I was able to start up front there.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, another season of XSLR coming up soon. Will we see you back at least for the dirt road, if not the full schedule?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely enjoy the whole, variety aspect of it. It's it's just a good idea. It's fun. So I'm definitely going to be back for the next one.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us in the booth, Josh. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we send you off?
Yeah, just again out there, Fiercely Forward guys. We have Ali Behrman. He won 2 F4 titles this year and he's got an F3 drive next year. So congrats to him in particular. It's a heck of an accomplishment. So yeah, all those guys that make this possible. Thank you much.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us in the booth, and congratulations on yet another podium in the trucks, Josh Clogg.
Thanks, guys.
A great run, Josh Clogg, tonight, of course, and through the dirt road portion of the calendar as well for Josh Clogg. Did not finish worse than second place. I think that's something to say for Josh Clogg and his dirt road prowess, and hopefully we'll see him try and qualify again for next year's iRacing Rallycross World Championship. Just a couple points shy of that. Final interview of the night, and it is with the driver who finished third in the race tonight in the feature and third in the championship. Now, Bobby Ross. Bobby, it has been such an up and down season for you. You earned your third podium here tonight, and I think this one means the most out of any of them, getting third in the championship as well. What are the emotions going through your mind right now?
So many emotions, Josh. It was just, I've worked my butt off all week just to get that chance to possibly get that podium, because I knew it wasn't going to be easy, especially with the likes of Trevor Anderson, Mike Sorum, Josh Clogg, Adam Thompson. These guys are so competitive, and this week, towards this week, I worked really, really hard. And to add on top of that, I had a foot injury last Saturday. So the last 2 races, I've been driving with 1 foot because I rolled the ankle. So it was just so much pressure on me. But God, it feels so amazing. Just one word to describe it: ecstatic.
And you've gone through this season, and like you mentioned, putting that work in, you were able to grab a podium in Monza in the asphalt road portion. You ever grab a podium at Indianapolis, a second place finish there in the asphalt oval portion of the calendar. Now another podium here in dirt road. Did you really find any sort of avenue that you were good in right off the bat, or did all of them take just a little bit of work to improve in to get to that point of finishing up in the top 3 spots?
For me, the cars that I had to put in the most work in were the dirt trucks and the sprint cars, because I am not used to dirt racing, whether if it's road racing or oval racing for the dirt. For the GT cars, I was fairly complacent with, very used to, and the oval ones I was used to, but at the same time, those are a bit of a wild card, so it's like anything can go, especially at the super speedways.
And of course, going into the next season, will we see you in the next season across Series League Racing? And what are your expectations going into that? Can you turn a 3rd place in the championship into a 2nd, or maybe make a run at Adam Thompson and steal the 2 in a row from him?
I think I could definitely give it a try, because I'm very good. I love the 87 Cup cars. I love the Lotus 79s. The only ones where I think I might struggle a little bit for next season is the dirt midgets, because I've never driven those before, and I've heard that the handling of those things is something else.
I can tell you the handling of those things are very, very difficult, but we'll see what you can do in the next season. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us here. Who makes it all possible for you? Who do you have to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Oh, first off, I want to thank my mom, Vicky, and my brother, Michael. These two are my biggest supporters. They've been supporting me ever since I started racing 17 years ago with karting, and all the way up to here in iRacing. They've always been my biggest supporters, my biggest cheerleaders. And but of course, I want to thank you to my karting team, Racing, Rudy, Rohan. I want to give a special shout out to Jordan Hernandez and Joshua Dickens. They finished 1-2 at Homestead Miami Speedway at the karting track. I was supposed to be there this week, but because of my foot injury, I had to step down for this race. But yeah, like I said, thank you to everyone from Racing, Jerry DiPiero, and my family members who are watching, Garrett, Jody, John, and to all my best buds, JP, Elliot, Chaz. You guys are all amazing. And thank you for all the support.
Thank you so much for joining us here in the broadcast booth. That is Bobby Ross, 3rd place tonight in the feature, 3rd place as well in the championship. And Tyler, just like that, 16 rounds over and done. What a season for Cross Series League Racing we have seen, from Road Atlanta to Lanier to iRacing Super Speedway to Crandon to everything in between. We have gone to multiple countries virtually. We have done 4 distinct segments of the iRacing licenses and gone through all 16 rounds. And in the end, Adam Thompson was able to come away successful and win the championship. There's a lot of anticipation coming for the next season. Lotus 79s in the asphalt road portion of the calendar, dirt midgets in the dirt oval, and the 87 Cup cars as well. When it comes to asphalt oval, it is going to be a challenging season for these drivers next year.
I couldn't agree more. I was so excited when I first saw the kind of concept for XSLR when they had signed on to do the broadcast here on Apex Racing TV. I thought it was a tremendous idea. Having broadcasted a good chunk of their races, I'm really looking forward to next season. Also here on Apex Racing TV, I think that's going to be awesome. I hope anyone who watched the races and isn't taking part signs up, because bigger fields are always better, and it's a pretty tremendous series. So really looking forward to the next one, but I have to look back on this season past, and what a fun season it's been. Some really awesome races and really great drives and fun drivers to talk to here in the interview room too.
And the next season will begin on December 5th when we go racing in the asphalt oval portion of the calendar. 1987 NASCAR Cup Series machines at Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, the Legacy Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the Legacy Daytona International Speedway. Then we go into the dirt road portion of the calendar. The same Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 trucks, but this time at Rallycross circuits. We got a Sonoma Rallycross, then Brands Hatch Rallycross, Hell Lanka Bonnet, and Daytona Rallycross Long. Then we go go into the asphalt road portion of the calendar, the Lotus 79 Grand Prix machines at Hockenheim, Legacy Silverstone, Zandvoort, and Watkins Glen. Then we go into the final section of the calendar, Dirt Oval at Limaland, the dirt track at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Lernerville, and Volusia in the Dirt Midget. We hope to see you tuning into all 16 rounds next season. That will all be brought to you here on Apex Racing TV. For Adam Thompson, Ashley Molyneux, and everybody else who helps put on Cross Series League Racing, for race control provided by 24/7 Race Control, for Marco Barbadera down in the virtual production trailer, for my colleague Tyler Newitt and Austin Knight, and everybody who has lent their voice here to the Cross Series League Racing in all 16 rounds of the campaign. My name is Joshua Lee. Congratulations to our champion Adam Thompson in the 244, and we'll see you in Season 3 of Cross Series League Racing as this campaign starts anew.